Hi, welcome to Senior Solutions. I'm your host, Karen Halloran from Azure Healthcare. Today we have on the show Laura Menendez from O'Connor Professional Group. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Laura.
Oh, thank you so much for having me today, Karen. It's a pleasure to be here.
We may as well just jump right in and you can tell us all, what is O'Connor Professional Group all about?
Sure. So O'Connor Professional Group is a national behavioral healthcare company, and our goal is to support individuals and families to promote well-being and overall wellness. We have over 400 professionals on our team that are across the country with diverse backgrounds in the medical field and the behavioral health field. And we work with folks from young adolescents all the way through older adults. And our services come in the form of therapeutic companions, which could be a live-in companion, a traveling companion. We offer coaching, which could be care management, family coaching, care coordination. We do also offer family crisis management for those that are in need. And we do placement services, so placement into therapeutic programs or supportive living programs.
Wow, that's a lot. You
Yes.
really encompass a lot of that. Fantastic.
Yes.
How did you get into this? Why don't you tell us about your background?
Sure. So I have worked in healthcare for over a decade, and prior to my role here at O'Connor Professional Group, I worked in therapeutic treatment programs that service folks that were struggling with their mental health and eating disorders. And I joined O'Connor Professional Group about 2 years ago. And what I love about my career and my role is being able to be part of creative and innovative ways to help someone and for what their care can look like, but then also working really closely and engaging with families and individuals. As someone myself that has a background with mental health and family members that have struggled with their mental health, I really understand how difficult making that first call can be. So having a position where I can lead with empathy is really important to me.
That's wonderful. I mean, there is a lot to be said about, people seeking services for mental health. There's not a lot of choices out there.
Sure.
So that's great. How you are assisting families in managing the care of their loved ones? How do you go about doing that?
Sure. So as a lot of our clients may be living hours away from their loved one or out of state, and there's multiple folks in the family that are trying to navigate their loved one's care. So what we're doing is really coming in and being the quarterback for that individual and the family to make sure that this person has wraparound services. So we're working with folks that are out of state. Maybe they have a parent that is struggling and they're starting to notice that they need additional supportive services. Then we're able to come in and assess what is needed, be eyes and ears in the home, and that's when we can do direct in-home care services. So we can assign them a care manager to help them with all of their daily needs, but then also coordinating with all of their providers or helping them vet and find providers so that they're getting all the support that they need and that the family's in the loop of what's going on.
That's wonderful, especially for families that live out of state. That I'm sure puts their mind at ease.
Absolutely, yeah.
So how do you handle situations where the person is resistant to services?
Yes. It's a really good question. Certainly when your day-to-day life is going to shift or you're seeing that a loved one's life is about to shift, it is really difficult to be part of that process and to accept that change may be coming next. So a lot of times folks are resistant to finding outside resources, and sometimes it's not the individual themselves, it's the family members too that may be resistant that their parent needs to go into a supportive living community, or just what they've been doing for their lifetime is about to change. So we certainly can help with facilitating conversations with the family to make sure that everyone is on the same page. We understand what everyone's goals are, especially the person who is going through it, understanding what their needs are, what their goals are, so that they can live an impactful life. We can come in and help with facilitating those conversations with our professionals.
It's a lot for families. It definitely is. They're lucky to have you to go through it. What are some of the signals of caregiver stress?
Yes. So a lot of times when you're taking care of someone else, your own personal needs get put to the wayside. So a lot of times folks are experiencing physical and mental exhaustion. They may become more irritable and have less patience, especially if they're juggling multiple roles, maybe caring for a loved one and then also being a parent themselves, juggling a job and their workload. It's a lot to take on for one person. So you may have increased anxiety. You may experience changes in your sleep habits and your eating habits and just ways that you've taken care of yourself previously. And it's not purposeful. A lot of times it's just the nature of taking care of someone and putting yourself into that role. So when you do start to see those signs, it's important to take a step back and really explore what it is that you need to take care of yourself so that you are able to show up for that person. And also, if professional help is needed, being okay with reaching out and knowing that there are certainly supportive services out there.
Yeah, that's great. We have to take care of ourselves before we can help anybody else.
It's like that saying where you put your oxygen mask on
Right.
first. So making sure that you are taking care of yourself, and you start to see these changes happening, again, just taking a step back and reevaluating sort of what you're doing and what you're doing to cope with it.
That's great. What is your role in placing a client in a supportive living situation?
Yeah, so our staff members will travel all around the country to different facilities, different programs, and we spend time with these folks. We spend time with their staff. We physically want to see the facility so that when we're working with a client where this is the next step in their life, we can sit down with them and talk to them about what's out there, what options they have, and really give them a comprehensive overview on what to expect, and then also be an advocate with this client. As they're going through the process, there are so many questions to go over, so planning ahead, putting together questions to ask, and then advocating for them as well as they're going through this process. So we not only physically go and tour these programs, we're there along the whole entire process with this person to make sure that they're receiving all the care that they need.
That's great, because it's very overwhelming for somebody to navigate going through it by themselves.
Yes.
There's
yeah.
so many options and things out there that it becomes overwhelming.
Absolutely, and just as we were talking about where folks are maybe out of state, a lot of times they're trying to juggle different members of the family traveling and being a part of these conversations. So it's definitely helpful to have someone to be there with them physically and then also sort of navigate all these different changes that are going to happen.
That's great. How can families effectively plan ahead as their loved one is getting older?
We believe having those difficult conversations as early as possible is the best way to go about it, especially before someone experiences any cognitive decline or neurocognitive disorder, making sure that that person's part of the conversation and that they are expressing what their wants and their needs and their goals are for their life too. And for families, I think it's important to understand what everyone's role is going to be. A lot of times there's one particular person taking on a lot more responsibility than the others. Maybe they live closer by, or that's just how dynamics are going. So it's really important to have that conversation early, understand what everyone's role is going to be, expectations, and then bring in professional advice, whether that's clinically, medically, legally, or an advisor, so that you can have all those conversations and gain insight on all these different areas where instead of being in it and having to go through all these situations and questions, you're able to prepare ahead of time and sort of know what to expect when you come across these issues.
That's smart. That is very smart. What are some helpful tips for family members that are caregivers?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, it can be very mentally and physically taxing on someone that is the caregiver. So I think it's important to understand where what your needs are going to be as you're going through this whole process. Planning ahead is another one, making sure that you're having those conversations with everyone that's involved with your loved one. Also doing things that make even just a little bit of joy in your life. So whether that's going for a walk, putting your headphones on, listening to some really great music, when you're in the car, blasting some music and singing along, reading, calling a friend. And as I mentioned too, if professional help is needed and you need that additional support to kind of talk through this additional stress that you've been taking on, all these feelings that you're having, knowing that it's out there and feeling comfortable to reach out to someone for professional help.
I think that's really important.
Yeah.
That really is.
Yeah.
Thank you for touching on that. Now, I am wondering, how would someone pay for the services? Is it covered by insurance?
So unfortunately, no, it is not covered by insurance. It is private pay. And us being a private pay service, it certainly allows us to be really creative with someone's care. And if there are any questions regarding what our pricing may be or what our services entail, I'm always happy to hop on the phone and kind of talk through that with a client.
Great. How about sharing an example of how you helped a client?
Yeah. So recently we had a physician reach out. It was a family physician, so this particular doctor was working with the whole family system. And he had a 70-year-old woman that he was working with, and her children lived out of state. And she was showing signs of early cognitive decline. She was forgetting certain conversations, missing some of her appointments, also missing some of her financial responsibilities. So her kids' concern definitely increased. Her alcohol use had significantly increased over the past few years. So unfortunately, she had a really terrible fall that landed her in the hospital. So her physician and the family, it was a very unfortunate circumstance, but it gave this family an opportunity to pause and say, okay, what's happening is not working, and really reevaluate what's needed for their mother and what everyone is going to start doing to help her. So the physician arranged a diagnostic evaluation for her to be diagnosed, and she was diagnosed with dementia, and certainly her alcohol use was contributing to her mobility and also her memory deficits. So we spoke with the physician, collaborated with them on what their plan was going to be with her new diagnosis, and then we worked with this individual and then also her family as clients. So we assigned her a therapeutic companion that could be with her for multiple hours in a day, and this companion was able to help her attend to her appointments, making sure that she was seeing all these new providers that she now had, and also being the quarterback to her care, making sure that all of these folks were communicating effectively. And then also just helping with the day-to-day tasks. Grocery shopping became something that was overwhelming for her, so going to the grocery store with her, making lists ahead of time. And then we also brought the family on for family coaching. So we worked with them to understand again what everyone's role is going to be, what shifts are happening. I forgot to mention as well, we did recommend a program to help with alcohol use. So that was something that was entirely new to her and a new journey. So it was really helpful to have that companion there with her to help her go through this new process, and also make sure that the program, their recommendations, what they're utilizing in the program, she's able to apply to her day-to-day life. And then we helped the family just keep in the loop with everything that was going on, understand their role and how they can be a support to their mother through this new journey.
Amazing. That's great. What a great story.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've learned a lot about O'Connor Professional Group. I like to end the show by asking 3 questions.
Okay.
So my first question to you is, tell us a fun fact about you. It can be anything.
So my favorite fun fact about myself is I actually, as a teenager, was in Aruba with friends, and we were snorkeling, and the boat wanted more fish to come where we were snorkeling, so they put some chum over the boat, and I actually got bit by a baby shark.
Oh, and that's terrible. I'm glad you're okay.
It is, but I have a really great scar from it, and it's a good story to tell.
That's great. Yes. The second question is, we love pets, animals on this show. Do you have any pets?
I do. So I have a 10-year-old dog. He's a hound mix. He's a mutt from Georgia, and he is just an absolute gem. So sweet, sassy, you name it. And my favorite thing about him is you could leave for 5 minutes or 5 hours, you're always going to get the biggest overreaction every time you come home. He's so, so sweet.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And then the last question is, it's summertime, everybody's going somewhere. Do you have any summer vacation plans?
No summer vacation plans, but I do have some coming up in the fall. I love the fall, and New England is, in my opinion, the best place to be.
Sure.
So we are going to do some just weekend trips, and actually we booked a lot of Airbnbs where we can take our dog with us. So the Berkshires, the North Shore, we're going to be doing some traveling around there.
That's
and
great.
then some work trips too. I have some conferences that are up and coming, so I'll be in Rhode Island, Cape Cod, and Fort Lauderdale this year.
Oh, not bad. Hopefully you can get some time out on the beach when you go there.
Yes, I hope so.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. If someone would like to get in touch with you to learn more or to, just speak with you, how would they do so?
Of course. So you can visit us at www.o'connorpg.com. You can write into us. You can actually click to call and connect with one of our staff members. So we are available 24 hours at any time, and you are always going to talk to an OPG team member. We have a very intimate intake team, and we work very collaboratively for all the folks that are calling in.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Karen.
And I'd like to say thank you for joining in with us today. Until next time, have a great day.